few days ago, after the release of that Snowflake and Safe Space video from Marvel, I did a video on that where I pretty much just asked, is Marvel trying to die? And genuinely asking, what's their goal here? Why are they trying not to sell comic books? And I didn't find a real answer. There's been a lot of discussion going on about what's happening in the industry now, especially after the shutdown of the direct market, which is more or less going to be the end of that side of the industry. I didn't get an answer until I watched a video this morning from a guy called The Fourth Wall, and he did a great little video and broke it all down exactly what Marvel is playing at. So I was asking the wrong question. Who are they trying to sell to? And that's just not what they're trying to do at all. So he pointed out how Marvel is essentially run by that woman, what's her name? Sana Amanat. And we've known that for a while, that she's kind of running the direction of the company in terms of what kinds of comics they're going to be putting out and what kinds of characters we're going to be seeing in the lineup. And yeah, you should definitely go check out his video on it. Just to give a quick rundown, he basically points out that once she came on board, it was all to steer Marvel essentially away from being a comics as a form of entertainment and towards just essentially a propaganda arm of progressive causes. And the way they would do that is not through selling comic books out into the general comic book buying public, but to inserting their characters and certain prints into places like scholastics and libraries, and just sort of getting those ideas into the hands of influential people in influential places, so that policy and all that sort of stuff can be sold through this messaging system. So I can only speculate that at some point the bigwigs at Marvel, or whoever's running the board that decides what Marvel Comics will be doing, saw the writing on the wall in the same way that we did, that chasing after this system of weekly comic books put out as entertainment for comic book fans is a lost leader, and it's just going to continue to decline in the years to come. And yeah, it's not really a viable business going into the future, especially with the explosion in entertainment options and the fact that less and less kids are reading. The average comic book reader's age is of the physical books is getting older and older. So I guess they just decided that long ago, this is probably in 2016 or so, maybe a bit earlier, 2014, that they would surreptitiously pivot to becoming a propaganda machine and sort of walk around in the skin of Marvel, but be a completely different company for completely different reasons. And then eventually the comic book industry would collapse, the direct market would collapse, and Marvel would just continue on with its plan that it had all along to continue pushing out characters like the New Warriors and the X-Men sidekicks or whatever they are in in scholastic programs and things like that. As far as I can tell, I'm not a big DC guy, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't look like that is what DC Comics has been trying to do. It looks like, you know, for better or worse, that's still you know, a highly volatile and precariously situated business model. But for better or worse, they still are trying to make comic books as a form of entertainment for comic book fans. But as I said, with the collapse of the direct market, precipitated and sped up by the arrival of the coronavirus, it's difficult to see how any of that is going to continue. Already publishers are closing their business. You know, after the dust settles, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be left. So I guess, yeah, so definitely go check out the Fourth Walls video. But, you know, from my point of view, we're going to be seeing just a wave, an unprecedented wave of people, creators and fans, looking for alternative ways to read comics. And as far as I can see, the only options, there's 3 options for that, and one is probably the least likely to make a big impact but also has huge potential in the long run, is Allegiance Arts in Walmart. But again, that's really only US based, and they have a limited line of comic books in at the moment. It's difficult to see, you know, how they're going to continue that on with larger numbers of different titles and all that sort of stuff going into the future. But, you know, they have a working, as far as I know, Walmart is still open and they have a working system of distributing comic books. The other system is Alterna Comics by Peter Samedi. They have their direct-to-consumer online stores. And lastly is crowdfunding. And when it comes to crowdfunding, the biggest game in town is Comicsgate. So they have a huge head start on everyone else. It's been a war, it's been a battle to get to this point. So if a lot of these pros think that they can just mosey on in with their name and not the name of a major publisher like Marvel or DC behind them, and make enough money to keep themselves afloat financially, they're in for a rude awakening. We figured out over many years now of grit and determination and bloody scuffles in and outside of Comicsgate, wars from enemies from within, enemies from without, that the network is really the thing that makes a difference when it comes to selling comics, crowdfunding comics. You really do need to build your name, build a platform, get yourself out there, help each other out. And from what we've all seen since 2014, that isn't really the modus operandi of most comic book pros out there at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see, watch this space over the next few months, how this whole thing is just going to blow up. I was a bit uneasy over the last week, wondering if I will be launching my campaign as planned in late April. And yeah, I've just sort of recently in the last 24 hours become really convinced that yes, now is the time, strike while the iron's hot. I think a lot of the panic around this virus is going to start dissipating over the next week or two. And once that panic dies down, people are going to be very interested in helping kickstart the economy in any way they can, as long as they still have their jobs, of course. So yeah, I'm definitely planning to go ahead with my project, and I'm anticipating, like I said, seeing a whole bunch of new people come on board, because, you know, Marvel may have given up on us all those years ago, and that's become pretty apparent by now. This is no longer some kind of crazy conspiracy theory. All the puzzle pieces fit. they gave up on the comic book fan a long time ago, and they're not serving us at all. They're only interested in getting their ideology in front of the right people, and sales has nothing to do with that, and we have nothing to do with that. So they're in the rearview mirror. Forget them. They're in the past. The future is all of us and our networks, and what amazing work we can produce in the years to come. So I'm actually, for the first time in about a week now, again feeling as energized as I was when I put out that video celebrating the success of Ethan's launch of Cyberfrog Wreck Planet. And I'm hopeful and looking forward to continuing on this journey with all of you out there. All right, that's all I've got to say on the matter, and I will see you soon. Cheers, bye. Hi, I'm Michael Bancroft, writer and artist of The Lucent. Going on 5 years now, I've been passionately working on my magnum opus, a fantasy graphic novel that blurs the line between dreams and reality. My first book in the series, Waking Dream, introduces readers to the mysterious world of the Lucent, a place that on the surface looks not too dissimilar from the world you know, but where nothing is quite as it seems. It's a place where powerful enemies hide in plain sight, fighting ancient battles for control of the future. Here we meet Ella Forsyth, a young woman who by all accounts appears to be living a low-key life. But in her dreams, she's hiding a secret with the power to turn everything we know upside down. Sign up now to be notified by email when this campaign goes live, and you'll receive an exclusive postcard if you go on to back the book. For regular updates, follow me on Twitter at The Lucent Comic. Together, we can create something that's truly memorable. See you at launch.